What's up, guys? Your King of the Night, Vincent Valentine EX Turk, and I'm getting questions. Hold up. And you would see my background. Too much lighting. I streamed today, so they're much better. Now people could see a much clearer vision of my background. Alright. And the question I always get from all these, from some of my followers: how are you still able to believe Etro Theory in Final Fantasy 15? And I got proof the reason why Final Fantasy 15 is a Fabula Crystallis Novia game. First of all, let's look at the obvious proof of Etro Theory being valid in Final Fantasy 15. First of all, there is a painting of Etro in Kingsglaive by Luna and Nyx during the hotel that King Regis is staying at when he meets Idolus to talk about the peace treaty. That's number one, you know. That's number one, and the reason why I say that's number one is, don't tell me that's put there for cameo purposes, or to say, well, they want to just put some Versus 13 stuff in there too because it used to be Versus 13. They scrapped Versus 13! Versus 13 is no longer a Final Fantasy game. It's no longer a title. What do you mean you want to accidentally leave stuff that's reflecting on Versus 13 when it was still Versus 13? It's not Versus 13, so why would they leave something that's was big in Versus 13? In fact, Etro was supposed to be bigger in Versus 13 than it ever was during the Lightning Trilogy. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? That tells you that it was put on there on purpose. And the only person who could do that and get green light is Hajime Tabata. Now, Tabata did say in one of his interviews that he wanted to keep Nomura's vision of Final Fantasy 15. Even though the game was cut in half and was really short, it still kept some of the same visions, but with just name changing. Bahamut is obviously a fal'Cie, because in this one the fal'Cie are the good guys. The bad guys are the l'Cie. Arden is actually like Caius. Arden is a l'Cie, you know. And Versus 13 was about to show you an evil version of the l'Cie and and stuff like that. And this is way before 13.2, before Caius's thing. But see, my little beef with some people on the internet is they still think there's something wrong with me, or I need to go see a psychiatric ward because, oh my god, my theories are too crazy. Even if they turn out to be wrong, I'm going to admit they're wrong if they turn out to be wrong. But I don't think I'm wrong about Etro Theory being in Final Fantasy 15, because why would you, okay, first of all, why would you leave a big piece of evidence on a movie that's not only canon, but a movie that was originally supposed to be part of the Final Fantasy 15 game? That was supposed to be part of Final Fantasy 15. That's why you saw a small snippet cutscene when Ignis read the newspaper. Now don't tell me that was put on there by accident. If that's the case, you might as well put Cloud's Buster Sword. But Vincent, what about the DLC of Lightning's Blitzfire Sword, or Zidane's Mage Masters? Those were DLCs. That's DLC, buddy. That's DLC. Okay, that's DLC. Okay, it was put in a movie that's completely canon to this game. Number 2, the Pitios Ruins. Now, I don't think EOS comes out of nowhere. I think one particular time, EOS was Etro. Now I know that sounds crazy, but at one point EOS was Etro, and Etro was put in the Pitios Ruins for her crimes. You know, besides breeding with humans and creating the Lucius Kylium, or forbidden family line. Besides creating the forbidden family line known as the Lucius Kyliums, you know. Before when she was Etro, Etro has committed a bunch of sins and atrocities, ones you never even could imagine, such as the curse on Yule, which caused Caius to do what he did, you know, caused the Foul Sea to do what they do, you know, indiscreetly, but you know, nonetheless. Also, don't forget, Etro is the cause of Benevelza, because if the original Etro dies, Benevelza, the god, will awaken, and sure, Lightning has became Etro in 13.2, but you cannot replace the person that kept Benevelza asleep for all this time, and that was the original Etro. And why would you want to keep a god of light in sleep? Now, don't get me wrong, Benevelza's a bad guy. Benevelza's bad. You know, he got corrupted and started to try to destroy the world, but before he was just a regular god of light, you know. Why would you want to put a god of light asleep? Because you up to something. You up to no good. You are up to no good. So what that means is that it's more than just giving birth to the Lucius Caelum household that Eos is guilty of, because she is Etro. You know, she's also caught doing other grievous things. And the Astrals are the Foul Sea, and they're like, the fuck you think you're gonna go around destroying our world? What do you think you're doing? I don't think so. I'm gonna put your ass in the Piteous Ruins. You know. And I'll tell you one thing, ain't no woman's prison. Or man's, for in fact of that. But nonetheless, sorry for the bad joke right there. I always have bad jokes. But anyways, yeah. There's more than just only breeding to make the Lucius Caelum house home, which caused Arden in the events that unfold in 15. But before that, Etro, when she was Etro, you know, she probably changed. Another reason why she changed her name, even though Benevelza is no longer around anymore, she didn't want to be followed by Guardians, because she's not. Maybe Eos is actually a bad guy because she's Etro, you know. And the thing with Etro, you know, Etro wants everything to be ruled, you know, a certain way, you know. Though Etro does need to exist, because without Etro, you know, pretty much the passage of life and death would be pretty much messed up. Pretty much people would live way too long, because, well, you do need the Grim Reaper to put limitations on humans, you know. Without the death limitations, humans will cease to be good, because, well, let's be honest, if you're immortal, then why would you obey the law? I mean, if you're immortal, why would you, you know, why would you do anything good? You could go rob a bank, spend a lot of time in prison, come on out, you know, you won't die. So Etro is needed, but the original Etro was not a good Etro in the first place. That's why I think Lightning Etro was the better one. But the theory is that I think Eos was put in the Piteous Ruins for crimes she did under the name of Etro. So that's another reason. Then let's look at another clue for the Etro theory and the Fabula Crystalius Novia theory in 15. Bahamut. Now, Bahamut looks mechanical. Foul Seas, they're mechanical looking gods. They look like machines. All of them do. Orphan, Bartandelonis, they look like machines. You know? And no, that does not mean Verstel is one, because Verstel is not a Foul Sea. He's not a mechanical being. The only reason why Verstel could turn into Immortalis is because he does a conscious transfer thing. You know, I don't even think he's really a Lassie. But we're just kicking that out there before people go around here making, you know, crazy hoo-ha about Verstel being a possible Foul Sea, because he could turn. No, Foul Seas are already mechanical. The only reason why Bartandelonis turned to that one form, because that one form was actually his true form. You know, Foul Sea can also take the form of human beings as well. You know, how come, you know, is it possible for Etro? Could it be possible for Etro to be able to take different forms? I think it's so. If the Foul Sea could do it, so could Etro. So it could be possible Etro turned into Eos. But yeah, the fact is, Bahamut looks mechanical. The only one who doesn't is Rama and Leviathan and Ifrit. But you know, but then again, if you look at Ifrit's skin, if you look deeply at Ifrit's tattoos, you know, the one that looks like the cold part, but it's not cold. I guess it was cold by Gentiana, but if you look at the tattoos by Ifrit, you do see some mechanical looking tattoos on Ifrit's body, because Ifrit's shirtless, so you can see that stuff plain sight. You know, now Leviathan and Rama do not have these traits, but does not mean that the fal'Cie can't take any form they want. The fal'Cie can take whatever form they want to. Remember, the human Bar Tantalus she fought in Final Fantasy XIII, that human form was created by him. You know, was created by him just to rule, just so he can rule the humans like he wanted to do. You know, the fal'Cie looks mechanical, and not to say they can't take other forms. And then if you look at Ifrit's tattoos, it is mechanical looking a little bit. You know, but you gotta look at those clues. It's not something they left out or they forgot to change. Tabata said he wanted, in an interview, he wanted to keep Nomura's vision. Yes, he shortened the game and made the game worse. I'm not gonna lie with that. Hajime Tabata made Final Fantasy XV bad on the fact he cut some story out, but he has kept some things of Nomura's revision, such as keeping Idolus as a villain. He was not the main villain, but they kept Idolus as a villain. They kept Ravis as a villain. You know, the Lucius Kylium are the main bloodline. Eos is Etro. There's a Etro painting in Kingsglaive in that same hotel that you see in the Versus 13 stuff. You know, there's so many things. The Pitios ruins. There's so many clues to figure out Etro theory in Final Fantasy 15. That Etro theory does affect it. Because, you know, because there's proof there. It wasn't purposely put in there for cameo. You know, just because they put other Final Fantasy music in there, that stuff's cameo, because, you know, that's to advertise other Final Fantasy games without ruining the main game. But, you know, this was planned. Hajime Tabata and Tetsuya Nomura had an agreement way before the game even came out. You know, sure, Tabata shortened the story and tried to make it for new players, but in the end, he's actually kept it to Nomura's vision. So those are clues to figure out how Etro theory affects Final Fantasy 15. So I don't have to repeat myself. And may the crystal be with you. Tell me what you think. If you agree or disagree, if you want to debate this stuff, the comments are open again. So may the crystal be with you. Wait, hold up. I forgot. I got more. Sorry, I got more. I got more minutes. Never mind. But then you see the Eos painting. The Eos painting looks a lot like Etro. You think they planned Lunafreya to be the one laying in the lap of Noctis or whatever the figure was before? No, it just got turned into that. But before that was Eos and Dawn of Eos. You know, and then look at the demonic painting you see in Regis's throne. It has the tale of Etro, but retold. So, okay, now may the crystal be with you guys, and, you know, and I know all that stuff. I love you guys. Thank you for supporting me, my channel, but may the crystal be with you. And if you want to argue on the comment section, you can. I'm just gonna say that Etro theory does in fact affect Final Fantasy 15 in a way that you couldn't possibly imagine.